Of keeping the young people in our city on the right track, Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams had a similar message for students attending Akili Academy. DA Williams joined New Orleans City Council member Freddie King III at the school yesterday. They both joining us today to give us a recap of that visit and talk about the summer months upcoming. This is when we see a spike in crime. Thank you both for being with us. Freddie, I know this is your first time on the show, so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about how you guys came together to do this. I know you told me this is not the first time you've spoken to young people in our area. How did the visit go?
The visit went well, and one of my campaign promises, one of the things that I really believe in is our youth, really connecting with our youth, where they are in their community. And I thought it was very important to bring our top law enforcement agent, our DA, to come in and talk to them, not so much to scare them, but give them information about summertime is coming. It's a time when crime goes up, especially with our youth. How can we prevent you? How can we help you not make a silly mistake that can lead to a lifetime of pain?
Yeah, and Jason, it's interesting having you involved with this because usually when kids or teens get to your office, it is too late. So you're trying to prevent that.
Yeah, I mean, it's about accountability. It's about prevention. Yesterday was letting the young people know how they will be held accountable if they violate and cross certain lines. Councilman King threw out a number of different scenarios. You're in a car. You don't know where the car came from. Your friend didn't have a car the day before. What if that car is stolen? What does that charge look like? What does the process look like? We talk about kids a lot, but very rarely are we truly talking to them and listening to them. We learned a lot in those meetings as well. They learned, and I think they learned, I think we learned as well.
Yeah, what do you say to kids, and what are you hearing from kids in our communities who deal with special issues? They're in more violent communities than a lot of communities across the country. A lot of them are dealing with trauma themselves. We just heard from Mayor Cantrell about providing more economic opportunities for them, all things that impact crime. Schools, we just got a New Orleans, of course, a new superintendent of New Orleans schools, all things that lead to crime, education, poverty. What do you say to kids in our area dealing with all those issues?
You know, I met with the new superintendent of schools. There are a number of our young people who are not in school as well. Attendance is down since COVID because of virtual learning actually increased that divide. So what I'm saying to kids is, look, this is how I am holding people accountable who cross certain lines. So kids are aware, even if they're learning the wrong information from siblings or other young adults. Yesterday was an opportunity for us to correct some of that and also to learn what they're going through in between school and home. A lot of them talked about some bullying. They talked about some gang violence. They talked about a need for protection. I asked them to call us, call the adults, let us step in rather than putting guns in their own hands. But Councilman King had some perfect scenarios that they are absolutely living.
And I had some scenarios, but what was very good about the situation yesterday is the feedback. They asked us questions in it, and when you talk to children and not just talk at them and you actually listen to them, you can really see what they're going through. And they're giving us situations that they may need a gun to protect themselves, to protect their families. And it triggers something in my mind. Why would a 13-year-old or 14-year-old, what situation are you in that you think you need a gun to protect yourself? And it just gave me an eye-opener, letting me know that there is more work that I need to do as a council member and just as a citizen in this city to make our city safer for our children as well as our adults.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. A lot of kids in this city are dealing with things a lot of us can't even imagine. Let's talk about the city and the NOPD's efforts to curb crime. We know we see a spike in crime over the summer months, adding more police to the streets, including state troopers, longer shifts for officers, and then a curfew for young people. Do you feel like enough is being done on that front?
That's a start. I'm always want to be proactive. The police, they have a job. They keep us safe. They patrol. They protect. The DA, he has a job. He prosecutes. But I ask myself as a council member, as an everyday citizen, what can I do to be proactive? And that's going to our children where they are early. I visited JJIC, and they stated that they have kids as early as 10. So that lets me know that more needs to be done earlier and to be proactive. And if we can get to kids before they create a crime, I love our DA, but he wouldn't have a job. The police chief wouldn't need he wouldn't need to be having these special meetings. So my job, one thing that I feel that I need to do as a council member and as a father, as a parent, is to get to our children early and try to stop them before they make a mistake.
I mean, prevention stops them from being other victims. The 4 young people who were involved in taking Miss Linda Fricke's life, that occurred at 1 p.m. on a school day. So if we had robust truancy measures, if we were reaching out to young people to figure out why they weren't in school and holding parents accountable for kids who are continuously not in school, Miss Fricky might be alive today. So Desmond Tutu said we can keep pulling people out of the river, or we can go down river and figure out why they're falling in. And that's what yesterday was about creating real crime prevention, talking to young people about why you think you need a gun. If you're being bullied, if 4 people are beating you up and you pull a gun, you might survive that, but you might find yourself in jail for the next 2 years, missing junior, senior year, maybe missing a huge part of your life, depending on how it all plays out. And they needed to hear that. You'd be surprised on what they thought was allowable and what was justified.
Interesting. And of course, Jason, as we see more crime in the city, people are looking to you for accountability. Our Mike Pearlstein, one of our investigators, just did a great report. I'm going to send everybody to WWLTV.com to take a look at that. But in it, he basically talks about the Metropolitan Crime Commission doing an analysis of felony cases and the convictions your office has gotten in those cases, saying that your office has said, hey, we're getting guilty pleas. Well, the Metropolitan Crime Commission is saying not in enough of those cases. How do you feel about that?
I don't dispute the MCC's reporting of the data. If you look at 2021 compared to 2022, 2021 is an asterisk year. The judges shut down jury trials. So we did not have a tool that other DAs had in the rest of the state. Whether or not Mike's reporting is great, he's a great basketball player for his age. I don't know how good this particular report was,
Don't do that, Jason.
because it's not doing an apples to apples comparison about what other parishes and what other DAs had as tools. I've tried 3 cases in the past month and a half personally since we've been allowed to try jury trials. I don't think Mike is checking to see if other DAs are personally trying murder and rape cases and have a 100% winning record like I do at Tulane and Broad.
Okay, well, I'm sure he will want to follow up with you about that. I would leave it alone since it's his report, and hopefully you'll answer when he reaches out to you.
I'll do my best.
All right,
But I'm in court a lot.
All right, let's also talk about your New Orleans East satellite office. We have not seen you since you opened that. Tell us what the purpose is and how it's going so far.
It's basically the same purpose as Councilmember King's meeting with those 13 and 14-year-olds at Akili School yesterday. It is meeting people where they are, making sure they have what they need to do well and live a purpose-filled life rather than being involved in the criminal legal system. So if someone's has a diversion for a low-level nonviolent crime, or someone wants to report a crime or provide information, we're putting a place out in New Orleans East so they can go there rather than try to. Transportation is a big deal in a poor town. Just to get from New Orleans East to my office, you might have to get on 3 buses and need 3 different transfers. 5-minute drive takes you close to 20 minutes. So we want to have someone stationed out there so that we can meet the community where they are so they can help us make this community safer.
Definitely. When we talk about making it safer, Freddie, I do want to go back to you. You guys are doing this really because it's your passion, right, to help these kids before they get caught up in the system. What part is falling short? What can the city council be doing more? Who can be doing more to help kids not get involved in crime? Whose real responsibility is this?
It's the entire community's responsibility. The crime doesn't stop in one neighborhood, doesn't stop in one district. It's all of our communities. The situation the DA spoke about earlier, those kids didn't live in that neighborhood. They come from all over the city, so it's everyone's responsibility. And with that, I've been asked to come to different schools already. We want to bring out with Showing the Road to different schools throughout the city to talk to kids throughout the city, because again, it's not just in one neighborhood, it's not in one school, it's all of ours issue, all of ours problem to solve as a community.
All right, thank you guys so much for being with us, DA Jason Williams and Freddie King III, our council member. Thank you for joining us from District 6.